What up, folks? It's your boy Dash back again with another word of the day. Yesterday was basketball, NBA. Y'all saw what the Mavs did to Mr. Wembanyama. Yeah, we put the rookie in his place real quick. Anyway, today is a powerful word because it's even outside of spirituality. I think it's something that people should really be able to sustain. The word of today is stable. That will mean that we have to sustain stability. And I have three different definitions of the word in different senses. So the first definition of the word is referring to of an object or structure, not likely to give way or overturn, firmly fixed. Keep that in mind. Second definition is of a patient or a medical condition, not deteriorating in health after an injury or operation. Keep these in mind now. And the third is of a person, sane and sensible, not easily upset or disturbed. So now I'm going to go through three things that you should make sure you have stable in your life. Three things that you should have stable. And these are three things amongst a whole bunch of other things that you should have stable in your life. Anyway, first thing, you should have a stable prayer life. You should have a stable prayer life. Now think about the definition. Not likely to give way or overturn, firmly fixed. So if your prayer life is firmly fixed, meaning that it's in place, it's solidified, it's there, you don't have to worry about it giving way, you don't have to worry about it overturning, or you don't have to worry about it, falling out of place. 1 Thessalonians 5:16-17 says, rejoice always, pray continually. Keep on praying. Keep on praying. Obviously, we're not talking about just pray all day, 24 hours a day now. If you're willing to do that, great for you. I am not. But that prayer life is important because inside of that prayer life is where you get to know God. That's how you build your relationship. That's how you hear him speak. That's where you hear him speak, probably more than, anywhere outside of maybe one other place that you would be able to hear him. Now, 1 John 5:14 says, this is the confidence we have in approaching God, that if we ask anything according to his will, he hears us. He hears us. He hears us, sorry. So, in your prayer life, for it to be stable, you have to trust what you're praying for, right? You have to trust who you're praying to, right? Sane and sensible, not easily upset or disturbed. That's how your prayer life should be. Don't allow anything to take you off of that prayer life. It should be firmly fixed, as the definition says, based on, I don't know where the definition came from. I'm going to assume Webster's. Anyway, but firmly fixed. Make sure your prayer life stays firmly fixed. Do not allow it to waver at all. Do not allow it to move, because once there's a ripple in your pattern, then everything just kind of starts to flow out of track. I'm telling you, this is a real thing. I've had it happen to me. If you notice, there are times when I miss videos. It's because I myself wasn't being stable in my prayer life. I prayed, but not on the schedule that I normally do, and that's what happened. That's what happened. So just so you know, it's not just a you thing; it's a me thing too. You should be stable in your reading of the word, because if you're not reading the word, then how do you even know what you're praying for or who you're praying to? That doesn't make sense. It doesn't add up. You should be stable in the reading of your word. It says in 1 Timothy 4:13, until he comes back. Devote yourself to the public reading of scripture, to preaching and to teaching. The public reading meaning you need to be able to confidently make others aware of the word. That's what I'm trying to do right now. This is what we should do. We should not just focus on reading it, obviously learning it, so that we can teach it. Because there are people who aren't actively doing this, and maybe we are the spark that'll get them on track and get them where they need to be as far as that, because it's a necessity. It is necessary. You have to do it. Deuteronomy 17:19 says, it is to be with him, and he is to read it all days of his life, so that he may learn to revere the Lord his God and follow carefully all the words of this law and these decrees all the days of your life. All the days of your life. All the days of your, I don't care if it's just a verse. Read something in the word. You don't even know how much that one verse will impact your day. I'm telling you. Because this is necessary, because this is the only place that I would say you probably hear from God more than in prayer. Because when you read this word actively, listen, this is living word, okay? Sometimes, and Pastor Todd said it on the Breakfast Club yesterday, sometimes when you read the word reads you. It's living, and it'll definitely change you from the inside out. That's why they call it living, because obviously you're living, and it's able to make change in you. It made change in me, and anyone who reads it actively and consistently, I promise you, it'll change them. And that's a fact. That is a fact. I don't care who you are. I don't care what you're going through. If you read it consistently, then it will definitely make a change in your life. Now, none of these things matter if you don't have stable faith. Because if you're reading the word and don't believe it, then what does it mean? If you're praying and you don't believe it, then what are you praying for? What are you even praying for? I don't even understand it. It doesn't make sense. Matthew 21:22 says, and whatever you ask in a prayer, you will receive if you have faith. If you have faith. If you have faith. So that's to say, if you're praying without faith, you're just wasting your breath and wasting your time. Because why would you ask somebody for something if you don't believe they'll give it to you? That makes no sense. That makes no sense. Why am I going to ask somebody to borrow money that I don't feel like could give it to me? Or I don't feel like should give it to me? Whatever the case may be. It doesn't make sense to not make sense. I mean, that's as simple as I can say it. If you want to pray, believe it. Have faith. You have to have faith. Obviously, you have faith in so much other stuff that you shouldn't, but you can't have faith in God. People will say, yeah, well, man wrote it. I watched the video the other day. People will say, I can't trust the Bible. Man wrote it. Well, who was supposed to write it? The animals? Who's supposed to write it? The animals and not the men with arms and hands and limbs to write with? Who was supposed to write it? You read a cookbook, don't you? You follow the recipe, don't you? My man wrote that. You follow that, don't you? Come on now. You read out of the math book when you were in elementary school. Somebody wrote that, didn't it? And you know math. You trust what math is. You know and trust that 2 + 2 = 4. A man wrote that in a book. Y'all, people. Hebrews 10:23 says, let us hold unswervingly to the hope we profess, for he who promised is faithful. To say he is faithful is to say that you can guarantee that it's going to stay. The promise that he made, he's going to keep. Unswervingly, meaning don't step away from the faith. I don't care who said it. I don't care who tell you, oh, that ain't real. And I don't care about none of that. I don't care about none of that. Stand on it 10 toes down like you stand on all the other stuff that don't make sense to stand on. We ain't even going to get into that. But listen, stable prayer life, be stable in reading the word, and have stable faith. All of these three things work together. You can't have all three. You can't have either of them if you're missing one. You can't have either of them if you're missing one, because if you're not praying, if you're not stable in your prayer, then what type of faith do you expect to have if you're not stable in your prayer? Because you have to pray to be able to see things happen. Now, if you're not stable in the reading of your word, when you're praying, what information do you have to go off of as far as what you're praying for or who you're praying to? If you don't read the Bible, you don't know God. Going to church don't mean you know God. Because there's certain things in Christianity that isn't necessarily necessary, because you can fellowship without going to church. But if you don't read the Bible, you don't know God. And that's a fact. But all of these things boil down to faith. What I'm saying right now, I say it because I believe it with faith. And if you're watching this and you believe it, that is faith. All of these things work together. Please make sure that you're stable in this walk of righteousness, people. Dash out. Love y'all.